Hello, my name is Cheryl Meyer, otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse, and I am a health coach. I want to welcome you to my podcast, It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health. This is a weekly show that will share lifestyle changes that you can make to support your health yourself. Why do I want to share this information with you? 7 years ago, after being a business owner for 20 years, I woke up one morning in horrific pain where every bone and every joint in my body hurt. I went to the doctor. She ran lots of tests, and then she ran some more, and then she ran some more, and finally she called me and announced she was going to give me steroids, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with me and I should seek therapy. I knew something was wrong. I hurt. So she told me I would be on steroids for the rest of my life, and I refused that I was going to have a life of pain and pills. So why was I going to take steroids if there was nothing wrong with me? So I dug in and started researching, and I turned my business over to my staff. I found a functional doctor who confirmed that I had autoimmune disease by making a series of significant lifestyle changes that I could do for myself. 5 years later, I had returned to relative health. The best part is that I am now 70, and I feel better now than I did when I was 50. I no longer hurt, which is huge. I will always have autoimmune disease, but losing the pain has been amazing. I went back to school at 67 and became a health coach because I want to share everything that I learned with others. And I wrote a book called It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again, as the manual I wished that I had had when I got sick, and my book has won 13 awards. So whether you want to future-proof your health and grow old with dignity and grace without dementia and chronic pain and disease, which you don't need to get, or whether or not you already have a chronic condition like autoimmune disease or cancer or heart disease, and you want to learn about what things you can do to improve your long-term health, or whether you want to improve the health of your families and raise healthy children, because 53% of our children have a chronic condition, I look forward to sharing all this information with you. I will tell you, it truly does feel good to feel good, so let's get started. I look forward to having you join me here every week, and I want to give you hope that if you have chronic pain or chronic disease, you can make changes that will improve your health. And if you don't want to go there, you're going to be fine if you listen to the show and put these things into work. I want to give you information so that you can grow old and have a better tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Welcome to my next show, which is all about the perils of sugar. Sugar is one of America's favorite things to eat, but it's really not good for you. So we're going to talk about why, because it's always easier for me to not eat something when I understand why it's so bad for me. So today, it's all about sugar. Sugar is not only the root cause of diabetes, and for any of you out there that have diabetes, you'll understand that sugar is something that makes your A1C go berserk. But it's also part of the obesity epidemic. And the comment is that if the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, would have long ago called for a crisis if it was an infectious disease, because it's making us all quite ill. So according to one of the guys who's written a leading book on sugar, named Gary Taubes, sugar is related to heart disease, hypertension, cancer, and Alzheimer's. And actually, when I was writing a chapter on cancer, there's quite a bit of conversation that sugar and cancer loves sugar. So cancer likes to eat sugar, so it's good to eliminate as much of the sugar from your diet as possible. And we're talking sugar, we're talking about the sugar that's in products that you're eating, in fast food products, in over-the-counter products. We're not talking about that one little teaspoon that you put in your iced tea. We're talking about processed food and sugar, okay? Last September, a researcher at the University of California, San Francisco, actually uncovered documents that Big Sugar paid 3 Harvard scientists in the 1960s to play down the connection between sugar and heart disease. And instead, they pointed the finger at saturated fat. So you'll recall that's about the time that all kinds of products started showing up that were very low in sugar. And they were touted as the next big thing for us. Sugar was not the culprit, I'm sorry. They were very high in fat. And so they lowered the fat and made them low fat. And then they talked about the fact that these were much better things for you to be eating than the things that we used to eat. And they made fat the culprit. Coca-Cola and candy companies made similar headlines when they went into nutrition science, funding studies that discounted the link between sugar and obesity. And all of these were big deceits. As a nation, we eat 152 pounds of sugar each a year. That's a lot. We should be eating no more than 6 to 9 teaspoons a day, and in reality, all our bodies really can handle is 2 teaspoons a day. But if we got it down to 6 to 9 teaspoons, we'd be making huge inroads. And our children are eating 34 teaspoons of sugar a day. So this is really important information. Your body was not meant to be able to handle these massive quantities of sugar. And even the 6 to 9 teaspoon guideline is a lot. One of the huge culprits is soda. Soda actually has 39 grams of sugar in 12 ounces. That's pretty astonishing. But don't think that fruit juices that you're buying off the shelf are necessarily that much better. The fruit juices that I compared to a 12-ounce bottle of pop actually had as many as 46 grams of sugar in them. So you can imagine what that's doing. And sugar impacts every single organ and body system in your body. We're also eating 146 pounds of flour in a year, which converts directly to sugar. So we're not only getting it from the sugar that's being added to all of our processed food and our fast food, but we're also getting it from all of the flour that we're eating in a year, which is converting to sugar. Now, this was the shocker when I started to study sugar. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine. In a study where they had rats, they offered them cocaine, and the rats were eating it. And then they took the cocaine away and gave the rats sugar. And the rats were happy, and they were eating the sugar. And then they offered them both, and they chose the sugar over the cocaine. Sugar actually lights up the brain like a pinball machine, and it's more addictive than the cocaine is itself. So you might want to change the way you think about sugar, because eating high sugar foods is, on an MRI, it's like lighting up a Christmas tree. So you want to be very cautious how much sugar you're putting into your body, because in the long run, it's truly not good for you. It's actually 8 times more addictive than cocaine is. And what's interesting is, whereas cocaine or heroin only activate one spot in your brain, sugar lights everything up and makes you crave it more. So, sugar makes us sick. So what exactly does it cause? It causes heart disease, it causes cancer, and cancer loves to eat it. It causes diabetes, which I think we all know. It causes tooth decay. It causes hypertension. It causes insomnia. It revs you up so that you can't go to sleep. It causes dizziness. It causes allergies. It causes hair loss. It causes Alzheimer's, And I, for one, want to keep my brain as long as I possibly can as I'm aging, and it causes skin issues. It also ages the body and causes wrinkles. That's a good reason right there to back off how much sugar you're eating. It increases uric acid, which causes kidney disease. It creates something called fatty liver. And in the past, I think it was believed that fatty liver was only caused by alcohol and that alcohol gave you liver disease. Well, guess what? Sugar causes fatty liver as well. It interferes with your thyroid function and makes it sick. It causes hormone imbalances, impacting your cortisol and your sex hormones. It interferes with our appetite. Now, this is a big one. What I did not know about sugar is that we have two little glands back here in the back of our head, and one turns on our desire to eat and one turns it off. And sugar makes those hormones not work properly in our diet. So if you've ever had a problem trying to lose weight and people have said to you it's because you have no willpower, guess what? It has nothing to do with willpower. You're actually feeding your body sugar so that it's not understanding when you're full because that hormone isn't working and your little appetite gauge isn't working properly. And most importantly, it causes inflammation. And you remember that I've talked about the fact that sugar causes leaky gut causes inflammation, and inflammation is at the core cause for autoimmune diseases, for cancer, and for heart disease. So this is all really important if you want to live long and thrive. It does this because it ruins your gut flora, and your gut flora are really important so that you have a healthy gut, so that you don't get leaky gut, so that the wrong size particles aren't going through, traveling to your liver and setting off your immune system. So sugar messes with your appetite hormones, which are called leptin and ghrelin, and it has no food value at all. So your body starts to crave nutrients and ask for more, and the addiction to sugar causes your body to never be satisfied with enough. I used to eat a Thanksgiving dinner, and when it was over, I had just eaten an enormous dinner, and I'd be looking around for what else I could put in my mouth. That's because my appetite hormones were not working properly. So before I detoxed off of sugar, I recognized that I was always hungry, no matter how much I ate, and I didn't understand that this was actually being caused by eating sugar. So it was this vicious circle. I had no turn off switch with food, and as a result, I started gaining weight. When we eat sugar and fructose, it goes to the liver where it cannot be used for energy. So that's when it gets stored as fat. It stores it and insulin is produced, and it's the cause of high triglycerides. It's not fat that causes high triglycerides, it's sugar that causes high triglycerides. And fructose actually damages 500 genes that are related to brain function and memory. Good reason to detox off the sugar. Now, the next thing that happened out there in the world of processed food is they came up with artificial sweeteners, and they also lead to weight gain, and they are no better for you. They slow metabolism, they interfere with your brain, they cause your body's temperatures to drop, and we actually eat 24 pounds of artificial sweeteners a year, and they are also a cause of diabetes. So if you have diabetes, don't go switching to the blue packet, the pink packet, or the yellow packet, because they're still doing you a ton of harm. And we'll talk about what does not in a little bit. Furthermore, they also interfere with your digestive system and are a cause of leaky gut. The yellow packet actually destroys all your good gut bacteria, and the pink packet and the blue packet are neurotoxins. So you don't want those. They interfere with your body, and they're going to make you less healthy in the long run. So it's a good idea to get off of them. So if you stop drinking pop, don't switch to 0-calorie pop. because it's doing as much damage as the high sugar pops are. Glucose, which is created from complex carbohydrates and protein, actually is good for you in some amount, because when we eat glucose, it goes into the cells in the body and gets utilized for energy. Fructose does not. Sugar addiction includes cane sugar, sucrose, fructose, lactose, and maltose. And remember, sugar is sugar is sugar. Doesn't matter what form you're eating it in, whether it's agave, which is really hard on your liver. You don't want to be eating agave because it's really almost worse than any of them for you. Or corn syrup, or cane sugar, or honey, or maple syrup. They're all sugar, and molasses is right up there with the rest of them. Be careful of sugar alcohols, sugars that end with itol, I-T-O-L, xylitol, sorbitol, and mannitol. The impact on the body for sugar is significantly reduced, but for me, they go straight through me. So it's not a pretty picture because they're really hard on my digestive system. So you'll have to pay attention to how your body feels when you're eating one of those. Sorbitol is actually baby laxative, so that'll explain why it's impacting your body the way that it does. And it's not a good look. So fake sugars are just as bad, and you want to limit those as well because they have diverse effects on the body, and the chemicals in the blue pack, the pink pack, and the yellow pack, they're poisons. And dextrose is another one that you want to stay away from because dextrose is made from corn, and corn is now being grown pretty much with something, it's a genetically modified crop, and it's being born with Bt toxin right in the plant. And if you remember if you watched my show about that, then you'll remember that Bt toxin is built up in the plant so that when the insect eats it, it blows up his little stomach and he dies. Unfortunately, it's also doing some really negative things. It's blowing up all your good gut bacteria, which is not a good thing, and it's blowing up our bees and our butterflies, which are our pollinators. No pollinators and no food. So these are not good things. So stay away from genetically modified foods, and half of them have Bt toxin in them. The other half are being made Roundup ready, and last year a major lawsuit and then 2 others was won against Monsanto/Bayer, who now owns them, because the other kind of genetically modified crop is made Roundup ready. Roundup is glyphosate. Glyphosate is now known to cause cancer, and there are 40,000 pending lawsuits against Monsanto and Bayer because of glyphosate. So you don't want that in your body either. Better choices for sweeteners. Better choices are stevia, and we're going to talk a little bit about stevia. Medjool dates. Sometimes when I cook, I just use the date. Yeah, it's sweet and it makes food taste great. And your body processes it a little bit more easily, and it's a little less sweet, so it's a lot better for you. Coconut milk is better for your body. Sweet potato is better for your body. Applesauce is better for your body, and cinnamon is better for your body. Now, let's talk about stevia. My husband went to see his heart doctor, and she frowned about the fact that he was using drops of stevia. And why is that? Because we'd always heard that stevia was good for us. Ends up, there are many kinds of stevia in alcohol, and some of them have dextrose and sugars in them mixed right along with the stevia. But beyond that, the extracting the stevia from the leaf and then putting it into alcohol, even if it's just pure stevia in the alcohol, there's something that happens that's not so great for your body. So what we did is we still use that on occasion, but we also bought just the plain green leaf stevia all ground up real fine from a brand called Mayan that I can get on Amazon. So whenever possible, I use that form of stevia because the stevia itself is not hard on my body, at least from what they know at this point in time, because God knows things are constantly changing. So this is pure stevia. It's in the leaf form. It does sweeten the things that we put it in, and it's a little bit easier on the body. Now, when I bake, which are not everyday treats, I do use some of the sugars I just discussed. I do use honey, I do use coconut sugar, and I do use maple syrup. I cut it down because now that I don't eat very much sugar, I don't want very much sugar. It's overly sweet to me. And if I have a choice, my first choice is going to be coconut sugar because it has a very low glycemic value. So, anybody with diabetes, coconut sugar, not in massive amounts. I'm not giving you the okay to go eat it out of the package, but if you're going to be baking, a little bit of coconut sugar is your better choice. And then there are some advantages for the body to be using maple syrup and honey because there are trace elements in it that are actually good for you. So don't eat a lot of sweet, but if you are going to eat a little bit of sweet, eat one of those. Eat coconut sugar, maple syrup, honey, the green leaf, stevia. Those are all better choices, or the medjool dates. This is all about agave, which I can tell you, it has a glycemic index of 13 and 20 grams of sugar with only 1 gram of fiber. So when it comes to agave nutrition, there's nothing in it that your body can use. It's basically high fructose corn syrup masquerading as a health food. There was a point where agave was everywhere and they were using it instead of sugar because we all figured out that sugar wasn't good for us. So agave became the hot button. It's not good for you either, so don't go in that direction. And you'll find it a lot in what's healthy restaurants. And so if I can, I have them use dates instead. Sometimes that's an option that I can use, or I get it without the sweet at all. And trust me, whatever that drink is or that smoothie is, it still tastes darn good without the added sweet. So we're good. Sugar or fats? Now, you probably know that there's been a lot of talk recently that fats are actually good for us and our brains need a certain amount of healthy fat in order to function properly. So when they took us off of all the fats and they told us that sugar was better for us, they did harm to our bodies in both directions. Now you want to make sure that you use good fats, and good fats are things like ghee. Ghee is a good fat, and it's really good for people with autoimmune disease because of the kind of fat that's in it. And what ghee is butter that has had the casein taken out of it, and our bodies love it. So when I cook a lot, I cook with ghee, and it's certainly what I use instead of butter. And I'm dairy sensitive, so I can't have the butter, but I can have the ghee because the casein's taken out of it. So that's a good choice. Avocado oils are a good choice. The oil that is naturally in avocado is really good for your body. Olive oils are really good for your body, with a couple of exceptions. You don't want to be cooking with olive oil over high heat because it has a very low smoke point. And the second thing is that the mafia got involved with the olive oil industry. So buy California olive oil. That way you know it's really olive oil in that bottle because California controls it. If you're going to buy Spanish or Italian or Greek olive oil, look for olive oil that has a certification on the label because they're now tracing that olive from the tree right into the bottle because they lost too much business when the mafia got involved. And I used to buy olive oil and go, why is this one so expensive and this one is so cheap? Because they were cutting it with all the bad vegetable oils. What are bad vegetable oils? Canola, which is made from rapeseed, which is not good for you. Soy oil, 95% of soy is genetically modified, so it's got that Bt toxin stuff in it and lots of glyphosate. All of the corn oils, all of those oils that are vegetable oils, they're not good for you. So stick with the ones that I just mentioned. And we found another one when we lived part-time in Sedona. They use brown rice oil, which has a really nice taste, and it's really quite good for you. So the organic restaurants and farm-to-table restaurants there use brown rice oils, which is delightful. Fats tend to have more nutritional value than sugar as well. And it's much easier to overeat sugar. You don't ever see somebody going, give me more fat. I need more fat in this item that I've cooked because our bodies don't work that way. So fat is good for us and we're less likely to overeat it. Now, I am not talking about the sugar that comes naturally in fruit and vegetables and dairy. If you can eat dairy, then it's not a big concern. I'm talking about the sugar that's added to pop and to processed food and fast food. So we would all be eating healthier if we were eating less sugar. So the key now is, now that you know that it's bad for you, you really ought to detox off of it. And it's not so easy to do because you've been addicted to it for a while. When I started my sugar detox, I got sick like I had the flu. I stayed in bed for 3 days. It made me feel that yucky. So now I understand one of the reasons why cooking is non-negotiable, because I really want to control what goes into my mouth, and the easiest way to control what goes into my mouth is by cooking my own food, and that way I also am controlling how much sugar I'm putting in my body, because I don't put that much sugar in my food when I am cooking. And again, I told you, when I bake, when I make treats like chocolate chip cookies, I buy high percentage of chocolate. I buy it 69% chocolate morsels, and I don't put a lot of sugar into the flour when I'm baking the cookie, so that again, I am controlling how much sugar I'm putting into my body. And I am diabetic, so it's important that I do this. But even if you're not diabetic, you don't want to get diabetic, so you want to control how much sugar that you're eating. And cooking is how I get all the beautiful nutrients into my body that I need to live. Food is information, and it's important to remember that. But it doesn't mean that food isn't delicious when it's healthy. So if you learn to cook, you can control that your food is delicious and healthy. And when we have people come over to our house for dinner, people are always thrilled that we're serving healthy food. It's not that they seek it out because they're looking for convenience, but if they're around me and I'm cooking healthy, they're more than happy to eat it. And I've learned when I go to somebody else's house for dinner and I'm taking a dish, I have to take a little bit of it in a second container so that I get enough to eat myself, and my husband gets enough of it to eat himself, because it's usually the dish that gets eaten first. Now, if you detox off of sugar, you're probably going to get sick, and in the long run, it's going to be worth it that you did it. One of the first things you'll notice when you get off of the sugar is that you're not hungry all the time anymore. That is all gone. You don't go in the kitchen looking for something to throw into your mouth all the time, because you've broken your connection to the sugar, and you can eat real food and be more than satisfied with it. The second thing that I noticed right away is that not only did I not want to eat it all the time, but when I go to a grocery store, I can smell it everywhere, and it's really not a pretty smell. And when I get into the aisle that has all the products with the sugar, the smell is overwhelming. So it's worth it to detox off of the sugar. You'll be a lot healthier and a lot better. Now, how long does it take to break the addiction? That varies by person. I got sick immediately. I think it was because I was eating so much sugar. I'm embarrassed to share with you. So for me, it took me about 10 days and I came out the other end. For somebody else, it could take as long as 4 or 5, or maybe even 6 weeks. But somewhere in there, you'll reach a point where it's broken. And if you don't start eating a lot of sugar again, your addiction to sugar is gone. And it's worth it. So think about doing this. The advantages of coming out the other end of a sugar addiction. My appetite was diminished. My blood sugar, remember I shared with you that I'm diabetic, was far more stable. I have type 2 diabetes. I'm happier. I have less mood swings. I have food freedom. There's emotional wellness. My mood swings are gone. I no longer crave the sugar. So it's really easy for me to pass on desserts when I'm out with friends because I could care less now. That would never have been true before I detoxed off the sugar. I have more energy now. My skin is dramatically improved. And then, as I shared with you, my sense of smell became acute. I can smell that sugar a mile away. And I have broken the addiction, so it's worth it. Even if it takes you 6 weeks, trust me, it's worth it when you come out of the other end of a sugar addiction. So how do you do a sugar detox? Let's talk about this. And when you're watching this show, if you want to do a sugar detox with me, write in the comments because then I can set that up and we can do a sugar detox together. I actually have run 2 groups doing sugar detoxes. The first thing, these are 20 steps to a sugar-free life, okay? Start by reading all your food labels. There are hidden sugars in the food, and then if there are, and it's a lot, throw them away. You'll be eliminated most of your box foods, most of your canned foods, most of your processed foods. And for the period of the detox, grains are out because grains become sugar. Grocery shop so that you have great choices on hand while you're doing the detox. Try to not eat out because it's hard to know what they're putting in the food. It's much easier to control what goes into your mouth, as I said before, if you cook. Eat vegetables. Vegetables are so good for you. And for the time of the detox, you're going to avoid sweet potatoes, squash, and beets because they all have a higher amount of sugar in them. Beets are sugar beets. They actually make sugar out of beets. Sweet potatoes and potatoes turn to sugar. Squashes are higher in sugar. And then if you eliminate them, once you do the detox, then you can add some of these foods back in on a not everyday basis, and you'll be happier to eat them, and it won't bring you back to the addiction. Eat fats while you're detoxing off of sugar. Your vitamins A, E, K, and B are all fat-soluble vitamins, and so you're going to need fat in your body to utilize those vitamins that are in your food. Eat nuts and seeds. There are good fats in nuts and seeds, so it's important that you eat them. So that sort of becomes a lovely snack for you to have instead of things with the sugar. You're going to be using olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado, and you're going to be eating wild-caught fishes like salmon because the omega-3 oils in salmon are super healthy for your body. You're going to be eating more protein than you will when the detox is done. I try to eat 3/4 of my plate as vegetables, and then just 1/4 of my plate is my protein. I do eat meat, but in all honesty, if you were to hire me as your coach, I don't care if you eat meat or not. If you want to be vegetarian, you want to be vegan, you want to be paleo, which is how John and I eat, or what I'm working towards is being pagan, which is a new term coined by Dr. Mark Hyman, which means I eat small amounts of meat with my meals about the size of the palm of my hand. I eat pagan so that I am not eating huge amounts of meat, and most of what I am eating is lovely, beautiful vegetables. For snacks, and you are going to want some snacks, try guacamole with celery sticks. You're getting your good fat, and you're getting a great fibrous vegetable that's good for your body. The celery will satisfy your desire to chomp, and it doesn't turn to sugar. The guacamole is always a lovely treat, and you're getting all those good fats. So make your own. If you're buying guacamole, you're getting hidden sugars. And if you're buying salsa, you're getting hidden sugars. The only juices that I drank when I did my detox were pomegranate and cranberry. And we have Trader Joe's in this area. You can get those from Trader Joe's with no sugar. I'm sure that you can get them from a store like Whole Foods with no sugar, but those are the only two juices that are really low sugar that you can drink. And you don't want sugar in your fruit juice because that's just going to trigger you to continue your sugar addiction. And I also would take the juice and then I would add my filtered water into it so that I cut it by about 75% so that I lowered the carbs and the sugar content that was naturally in the juices. And it's really lovely to drink cranberry juice that's mostly filtered water with just a little flavor. So that's a great way to drink your liquids. I did eat organic berries and green apples. They are both very low in sugar, so they're allowed if you're doing a sugar detox. Fresh blueberries are also very low in sugar. Fresh raspberries are also a good choice, and if you can't get them fresh because of whatever time of year you're doing this in, you can buy them frozen as long as they're frozen without additional sugar. And berries are a dirty crop, so make sure that you're buying them organic. And apples can be a dirty crop, so make sure you're buying those organic. They're laden with herbicides and pesticides, and you don't need a healthy dose of toxins when you're eating your berries or your apples. Blueberries frozen actually are a little bit better for your body than if you're buying them right from the farm, because something happens when they freeze the blueberries that breaks down the skin so that when it defrosts and you eat it, you're getting more goodness in your body. So that's not a bad thing. I happen to really like Granny Smith apples, so eating green apples is great. And I love eating pippins, which are about as sour as they come, but I know that's not true for everyone. Wine saps are also a good choice. I think if you're on the East Coast, that's where the wine saps are. A good sour apple is always a great treat. Now, you should also have a PGX fiber powder when you first get up. You mix it with water and you drink it quickly, because if you don't drink it quickly, it gels. And so you want to mix it in the water and you want to drink it. And the reason you want to do that is because it will take the byproducts of not eating the sugar back out of your body. And it's also really great for your liver. So first thing when you get up in the morning, you drink a good fibrous drink like a PGX powder. You can get that on Amazon. And that'll be a great way to start your day. And then you should take a good multivitamin. Take chromium, which is essential for body function and which will even out your sugar levels. So that's a great thing too. Now to this day, when I leave, if I'm not sure that I'm going to get home before I'm hungry, I travel with an emergency kit. And when you're doing a sugar detox, I strongly recommend that you put an emergency kit together, because otherwise you're going to get so hungry that you're going to go out there and make bad choices. And if you're making bad choices, you're going to have to start all over to get detoxed off the sugar. So what's in my emergency kit are Santa almond butter packets, nuts, salmon jerky, turkey jerky, a can of wild salmon. Now, I do carry a can of wild salmon, but I will warn you, I took it on an airplane once, and as I opened it up, I squirted salmon oil all over me, and I smelled like cat food for the rest of the trip. So if you're going to take a can of salmon in your emergency pack, be very careful when you open it, because it was not a good smell. Then fresh blueberries travel well and are very low in sugar. I want you to use full-fat dairy while you're doing this. And why full-fat dairy? That we're past the emergency kit part. Why should you be doing full-fat dairy? Because low-fat and non-fat is made by spraying some of the milk up so that when it actually goes into the product, you're left with the cheapest part of the milk, and the dairy company is left with the best part of the milk, which is the fat. And what happens when they spray that stuff up to fill it up and make it less gray and icky looking? It becomes cholesterol in your arteries. It sticks to the side of your arteries, so it's not good for you. Whereas if you're eating full fat, you're getting good fat, and you're not getting that added bonus of cholesterol in your arteries. During the detox, you're going to eliminate all grains. And by doing that, you're also eliminating gluten, which is not a bad thing. You're going to eliminate all sauces. Sauces are loaded with hidden sugars, so be careful of condiments. Ketchup and mustards are often loaded with sugar. I'm now buying Primal Palate because they are products that are very low in sugar. And so I've discovered I love their salad dressings. They're very clean. I like their ketchup. Mustard's a sensitivity, so I don't get to have that, but my husband gets to use that, and it's Primal Kitchen. They're all actually quite good for you. So there are nights when I make my own salad dressing and nights where I really don't have it in me to not only cook the meal, but make my salad dressing, so I use Primal Kitchen on those nights. Every day, I want you to eat a savory breakfast. It's important that you start your day with breakfast while you're doing a sugar detox. And eggs are a great choice. So I like to add in a handful of spinach and some green onions and some mushrooms or some zucchini. I like to add in some vegetables because, again, remember, I want most of what I eat to be real live food that's organic, because that's the stuff that makes my body sing. So whether you're doing a detox or you're just cooking for yourself or you're cooking for your family, add some vegetables in for every meal. I did a podcast with a guy named Billionaire Brown, and he kept going, spinach for breakfast? For breakfast? Yeah, it's actually quite delicious. Spinach for breakfast. Breathe. We talked in the very first episode that we did about the Dr. Andrew Weil 478 breathing exercise. You can actually look that up and Google it, and then you can do it right along with Dr. Weil. But if you breathe, it will make it much easier to get through the days of the sugar detox until you come out the other end. And I want you to get 8 hours of sleep. I want you to get 8 hours of sleep every day if you possibly can, at least 7, because your body will be in much better shape if you're getting 7 hours of sleep, and it's much easier to make it through the sugar detox if you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And we will talk about sleep in one of these episodes, but the beauty of getting 7 hours, that 6 to 7, is important because it sweeps all the plaque out of your brain, which is what gives you dementia. So it's important. Once you come off the sugar detox, you're going to be conscious of just how much sugar you were eating. So you want to be careful when you start eating more normally again that you don't want to trigger your sugar addiction. One of the most favorite things I read when I was doing my sugar addiction is to eat like it's 1934. I feel like it's a pop song that we could hear on the radio. Our grandparents, or my grandparents, so your great-grandparents, didn't eat processed, fast, or sugar-laden foods. And so their bodies functioned better. So eat like it's 1934. They didn't have all these processed foods. And I actually remember in my lifetime when they started with fast food. So we weren't eating that stuff. We were cooking all our meals. Oftentimes our families were on the farm, so we were growing our own vegetables, and as a result, we felt a heck of a lot better. So eat like it's 1934. Shop the edges of the grocery store, because that's where the real food is. You're getting into processed food when you're going up and down the aisles. Eat the entire fruit. You need the fiber, and with the fiber, it's more filling. So if you're juicing, as one of my doctors said to me when I discovered I had diabetes, I was drinking rocket fuel. I needed the fiber to fill me up and slow down the effect of the sugar in the fruit on my body. And I missed saying this when we were talking about learning to read the label. For grams of sugar is 1 teaspoon. So you can quickly take a look at a label and figure out just how many teaspoons of sugar there are in that product so that you know if you really want to have 23 teaspoons of sugar in something you're drinking, because you don't. Two other phrases that I found that I love are jerf, just eat real food, jerf, and kiss, keep it simple, stupid. If you eat simple, you will probably be eating less sugar. Okay, the best bread for you to eat when you come off the sugar detox, because you're not going to be eating this while you're on the sugar detox, is sourdough. And the reason it's the best bread for you to eat is because it's fermented, so it's good for your blood sugar. It has minimal gluten and sugar in it because the fermenting process utilizes all the sugar. A couple of sugar swaps that have been suggested by J.J. Virgin, who is actually a guru on lowering your sugar intake. Instead of raisins, eat blueberries. Instead of white rice, eat wild rice, which actually isn't a rice at all. Instead of coconut water, drink filtered water with either berries or cucumber and lemon. I actually bought large half-gallon glass bottles on Amazon, and I sometimes, when I'm going to want something a little different to drink, I'll fill it up with filtered water. We have a whole filter system on our water system, and then I put berries or cucumber in it and put it in the refrigerator, and as I drink water all day long, I take it out of those bottles because I don't ever think I'm ever going to drink a soda again ever in my life. And so this gives me something with wonderful flavor that's good for my body that makes my day better. And so I'm happy drinking it. Drink a lot of regular filtered water during the detox and add lemon. I just had a kidney stone, and my urologist commented to me that one of the reasons he loved it, that I was putting lemon in my water, is because it kept my electrolytes balanced. Now, that was a new one that I had not heard before, but I drink as much of my water as possible with half a lemon in it, and I am very fortunate that I have 3 big lemon trees in my backyard that are Meyer lemons, so they are super juicy. But no matter where you get your lemons, just put some lemon in your water because it makes it easier for you to process. When it gets into your gut, it becomes alkaline, which is good. So lemon in your water is good, and you ought to be drinking half your body weight in ounces of water a day. So by drinking all this water, it's easier to eat less sugar. One of the desserts that we serve when we have company, excuse me, are organic berries with coconut whipped cream. It's very yummy and it's very low in sugar. And it's high in good fats. Coconut is really good for you, so it's a win-win-win. So get off the sugar. Trust me, it's worth it, and your body will thank you for it. Now, let's talk about soda. We have a few minutes left before this show is over. Whether or not it's the one loaded with the sugar or sweetened with artificial sweeteners, it's addictive and toxic to your body. I have a friend who told me he would rather chew his right arm off than give up his Diet Coke. So if you are one of those people who is not about to give up your pop, I'm going to strongly recommend you reconsider it because it's that lousy for you. Drinking soda actually causes metabolic syndrome, which is known by many names, but 3 of the 5 medical conditions connected to metabolic syndrome are obesity, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and it's also connected to high serum triglycerides and low serum high density lipoproteins, which are the HDLs on your cholesterol tests. There is no food value in sodas at all. And remember I told you food is information? I really want you to start putting things into your body that your body can utilize to make you to make you healthy. The good news is your body really wants you to be healthy. So if you give it the right ingredients, jumps for joy and it's happy, and you'll feel the difference because it's utilizing the nutrients that you're giving it. Soda is actually loaded with chemicals and causes the body incredible harm. There is no doubt that sugar tastes good. It's been shown to be addictive, and it doesn't matter if it's soda with sugar or diet soda. It's really lousy for you, and you sure as heck don't want your kids drinking it. And if you have inflammation, which any of you out there with heart disease or autoimmune disease or cancer have, it's not worth what it does to your body when you drink it. Just stop drinking soda. Now, what is soda good for instead? Here's a couple staggering statistics before we go there. If you drink just 2 sodas a day, you increase your possibility of having a heart attack by 40%. You also increase your chance of dying from heart attacks by 50%. 1 in 5 people drink a soda every day, and that's 17% of the entire population, or more than 5 million people. We haven't even added in the statistics of drinking soda with sugar. That's just 1 in 5 people drinking a diet soda. So they all have terrible effects on the body, and they stop you from drinking water, which your body desperately wants and needs. So I think we've been through all of these things. Regular Coke has 10 teaspoons of sugar in a 20-ounce can. How many people drink more than 1 can a day? And artificial sweeteners, as we've discussed, are also really bad for you. There's one other disadvantage of drinking sodas, and that is that the cans are lined with BPA. And BPA contains substances that are hormone disruptors. They're what's making our little girls mature much faster, and they're actually starting to make our little boys sterile. So it's important that you not let your kids be drinking this stuff. It also is a leading cause of osteoporosis because it's leaching calcium from your bones. Now, this is the list of things that soda's actually good for. It can clean blood stains off your clothes. You can soak pennies in Coke and polish them. You can use it to descale a kettle. You can use it to clean the toilet. Just pour it in the toilet bowl, leave it a while, and flush it, and it's clean. You can eliminate grease stains from your clothes and fabrics. If you pour it on the floor and then hose it off, it cleans the oil stains in the garage. And due to a high concentration of acids, it can kill slugs and snails and helps you eliminate rust stains from your pool. If you pour 2 liters of Coke into your pool and let it act for a while, voila, the rust stains are gone. In Vietnam, my husband told me that soldiers actually cleaned rust from their rifles using Coke, and it also removed the bluing. And you can clean your car battery terminals by pouring a little Coke on the contacts and letting them sit for a moment. It'll remove gum from your hair. You can use it to clean your engine. It will help you remove paint from your metal furniture. You just dip a towel in it and apply it to the paint, and it comes off. Pour a little Coke on the kitchen floor, leave it to act, and then wipe it clean to clean tile grout. It will help you fade and remove hair dye. It can efficiently polish chrome. Use it to clean the stains off of vitreous china. Use it to take marker stains off your carpet, and pour a little bit on the spot and then scrub and use soapy water, and the marker stains are gone. And you can use some Coke on your pans, leave it to act, and then rinse the pan to clean it out. So, give up your soda, lower your sugar, detox off of the sugar, and it's much easier to stay off of the sugar and eat good fats, were the messages in this week's episode. So thank you. I hoped you learned a lot. I really enjoyed sharing all this information, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.